Welcome to Real Shame. It's a show where weekly we take movies from our movie list of shame or movie blind spots and we review them for you guys. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
And welcome to our Halloween season reviews where we're coming at you with more episodes and more horror movies than we normally do. So earlier we talked about a really good horror movie called Who Can Kill a Child, and we're following it up with
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yes, Doctor.
Mrs. Woodhouse?
Yes. Oh, thank you for calling me.
I thought you were in California.
No, I've been to another doctor, and he isn't good, Dr. Hill. He's been lying to me and giving me unusual kinds of drinks and capsules. The baby's due on Tuesday. Remember you told me June 28th? Well, I want you to deliver it.
Mrs. Woodhouse?
No, please let me talk to you. Let me come and explain what's been going on. I can't stay too long here. They'll be coming looking for me. Dr. Hill, there's a plot. I know that sounds crazy. You're probably thinking, my God, this poor girl is really flipped. But I haven't flipped, Dr. Hill. I swear, by all the saints, I haven't. There are plots against people, aren't there?
Yes, I suppose there are.
Well, there's one against me and my baby.
Come to my office tomorrow after 5 and we'll talk.
No! Right now.
Rosemary's Baby is a movie that I haven't seen, but you've seen before.
Many times.
It's a movie that I thought came out in the 80s, and I thought it was based on a Stephen King novel.
No.
So I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I was very shocked.
Yeah.
So with Rosemary's Baby, we have the Woodhouses. They're a New York City couple that move into a new apartment that has just became for lease or rent. And while living there, they're living their normal day-to-day lives. The husband is a actor and the wife is a stay-at-home wife, I believe.
Yeah.
And she becomes pregnant. Hence the name of the movie, Rosemary's Baby. And things happen from there, and I'm not going to get too much into it because if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil that for you yet. So like last time, we'll try to talk about our general thoughts about the movie, and then we'll go into spoilers at the end.
No.
All right, so why did you choose? Why'd you choose it? Why were you chosen one?
I've seen, as I said, I've seen Rosemary's Baby several times. I think this movie is a stone cold horror classic. First of all, let's just clear the air. It's directed by Roman Polanski, and Roman Polanski is a creep in real life. He's a talented filmmaker, and yes, I can divorce his real life with his work, which I absolutely do in this case because I think Rosemary's Baby is a terrific movie. But he got into some trouble in the late 1970s, which we won't really go into. But he ended up fleeing the country, has never come back. He lives in France, and he never will come back, more than likely.
Yep.
So let's just get that out of the way. We got that out of the way?
Yep.
Okay, so Rosemary's Baby was produced by William Castle. William Castle is a guy known for a lot of kind of B-grade horror movies, schlock, if you will. But, you know, he created some fun movies like I think The House on Haunted Hill, the original House on Haunted Hill. He did The Tingler, and he always had gimmicks. He did. The Tingler, so when you saw that in theaters, it would give you like a little shock. Like it would give
really?
Yeah, it would give you like the
awesome.
tingle under the seat.
It's better than Smell-O-Vision, guys.
Yeah, he didn't do Smell-O-Vision, but he did other kind of gimmicks like that. I think there was a movie where he came on screen before the ending, and the audience got to vote on which way it was going to
very
end.
Cool.
Yeah. So he was definitely. I think the movie Matinee with John Goodman. I think he's kind of based on William Castle because he was a promoter.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to promote these films. He wanted people to see them. He wanted to have gimmicks for them so that people would talk about them. And guess what? People did talk about them.
And we are.
Yeah, they were not going to give him a chance to direct this film, but he did produce it. So anyway, and it's from a book by Ira Levin.
Not Stephen King.
Not Stephen King. Ira Levin. I think the book came out in 1967. Movie came out in 1968. And, of course, Ira Levin would go on to write things like The Stepford Wives, which is another 70s movie with Catherine Ross, and The Boys from Brazil with Gregory Peck. And we'll talk about Gregory Peck in another movie before too long. But anyway, yeah, and Mia Farrow. So Mia Farrow's Rosemary.
Yep.
John Cassavetes, not Castavetes. John Cassavetes is her husband, Guy. But there are two characters in the movie, Minnie and Roman Castavetes, played by Ruth Gordon and Sidney Blackmer.
And we have Dr. Abe Saperstein.
Abe Saperstein, played by none other than Ralph Bellamy. And also, this is the film debut of Charles Grodin. Mr. Charles Grodin, if you know who Charles Grodin is. If you don't know who Charles Grodin is, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. But basically, yeah, that's the main cast. And even Charles Grodin is not in the movie. Charles Grodin is the doctor that she goes to see before she goes to see Abe Saperstein.
Dr. Hill,
He's the young, Dr. Hill. He's the young doctor.
Gotcha.
But before I talk about why I like this movie, you can talk about what you thought of it.
Yeah. So, like I said in the beginning, I didn't know a lot about this movie. I kind of knew that. I mean, I don't think this is spoilers, but I knew it was like some kind of demon baby. But I didn't know. That's all I knew about it, right? And like I said, I thought it was a Stephen King novel. I thought it was a movie that came out in the 80s. So when I started, I was pretty surprised. I feel like this movie is hyped to a level to where it probably wouldn't reach my expectations, you know? So ultimately, I thought the movie was okay. I think Kirby likes the movie a whole lot. I can tell by what you said that you like the movie a whole lot, but the movie just really didn't do a whole bunch for me. It felt just kind of very like disassociated from like Guys and Rosemary's going on. It felt very like voyeuristic to me and stuff, and I never really fell into it. I never really felt like connected to these characters and stuff like that. So I think it kind of kept me at a distance a little bit. And I can understand intellectually like how great it is and stuff like that. And Kirby was telling me afterwards about, some of these shots were, pretty revolutionary at the time, or, but ultimately for me, like emotionally, I just thought it was okay. And I think it's one of those movies that I probably like Rebel Without a Cause. It's probably worth rewatching and worth reading more about it to kind of understand the movie more, because I think maybe the issue with this movie is that a lot of movies have probably built on top of this. Yeah. And so seeing all those movies that have built on top of it kind of leaves this one a little, because I've seen this stuff before. So it's not that surprising or interesting, Yeah. So that's kind of where I wish I liked it more, because I can tell that you both really, really like it. So,
yeah. I mean, you might be at a disadvantage because if you have seen you have seen movies that have kind of this walked so that other movies could run, I guess, or other movies with similar premises could run. So you may be at a disadvantage there. I saw the film early. I mean, I saw it, years and years ago for the first time. Really loved it then. Again, I've seen it several times. Actually, we watched the Criterion Blu-ray, which I haven't delved into the special features on there, but I need to. But yeah, no, I really like this film. When it comes to Roman Polanski's career, I've seen a lot of what he's done. I haven't seen a lot of what he's done post The Pianist, the film they did with Adrian Brody, and because I looked at his filmography, I was like, what has he been doing lately? I don't think I've seen anything that he's done, honestly, after The Pianist. But the movies that he's done, sort of 60s and 70s or whatever, I'd be hard pressed. Honestly, I think I would pick Chinatown. It's probably his best movie that I've seen. But Rosemary's Baby would be a close second. I just feel like this is a really masterfully done movie. It is 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. Did you feel the length?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I just feel like not a lot happens in this movie. And so that's so we're going on.
But no, I mean, so even at over 2 hours, I never really get bored with this movie, and maybe it's because I have seen it before and I just like it or whatever. But I don't really feel the length of it. To me, it's one of those movies, and I feel like Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the 70s, so the Donald Sutherland Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's one of those movies where you have a main character, or in the case of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you have a group of people, so a few people, but there's something sinister going on around them that the audience can maybe see or can maybe clue into, but the main character or characters don't really realize it until it's way too late. Yeah. And I feel like Mia Farrow, falls into that category. Again, through no real fault of her own. She's just a a waif-like, very frail, skinny lady who happens to become pregnant. She doesn't have a lot to do other than kind of hang out in the apartment, as you said, and then her husband, Guy, is kind of a struggling actor. But we as the audience, we know there's something going on in this apartment building.
Yeah, and you do.
And she doesn't, but there's always kind of things there on the fringes or whatever, and you sort of see that. I wouldn't say it's claustrophobic because their freaking apartment is big.
Huge, yeah. That's the one comment I made.
It's bigger than my house.
One comment I made to Kirby. I'm like, this is in New York.
Yeah, well, for a struggling actor and his wife who doesn't work, I don't know how they afford that.
He's done the Yamaha commercial.
He did the Yamaha. He did what was it? He did Luther, and he did Nobody Loves an Albatross, as she likes to tell several people in the movie, because they're like, "Have I seen your husband in anything?" But no, they somehow afford this huge apartment. I don't know how realistic that is, but but I wouldn't say the cinematography is claustrophobic, but I do like the being inside the apartment, and at times you do feel kind of the confined spaces. There's perhaps a trap door or trap.
So when they move in the apartment, the realtor, I think, who's showing the apartment, notices that there's this big arm wall. I forgot what she called it. Secretary is what she called it. In front of the closet, and she's like, "This doesn't used to be here." Yeah. And they moved it, and they opened it, and it looked like a normal closet. So it was really you kind of that's when you start knowing that maybe not everything is as it seems with this kind of place.
Right off the bat, you kind of know that something, and obviously, I hope you know since you're watching a horror movie, unless you just stumble on this movie on TV and have no idea what it is. I would hope that because this is a horror movie, that things are going to get sinister at some point. But yeah, some of the things, so there's a documentary called Visions of Light, which is all about cinematography in movies, and it came out in the 90s, so it's over 20 years old, and it has never seen a Blu-ray release. It is on DVD, but the DVD is like long out of print, so I think you have to find a copy on eBay for over $100 or something like that. But the cinematographer of this movie is named William Fraker, and he talks about the cinematography in this movie. And there's scenes, the one scene in particular he talks about is when Ruth Gordon, Minnie Castevet, gets on the phone. And so he positioned the camera in such a way that you could see through the doorway and you could see her sitting on the bed talking on the phone. Well, Roman Polanski came up and said, "I don't want you to put the camera there. Move it over here, to where you couldn't really see her, except maybe when she kind of leaned back, you could see her coming into the frame. You see her talking." He's like, yeah, we're gonna. And so William Fraker says, "Well, when we saw that in the theater, everybody's watching the movie and they're all trying to peer around the doorway to see her, that sort of thing." I feel like there's a lot of shots like that in this movie where somebody is talking to somebody on the phone, and maybe it's something surreptitious, maybe because Guy is definitely more friendly. Again, we'll get into spoilers later.
Yeah, he's more like gregarious.
He's more gregarious, and he's friendlier with the Castevets than Rosemary is, with good reason, as we find out. But there might be a moment where he's talking to one of them or something on the phone, and he's just out of frame. So it's kind of secretive. It's kind of hidden, even though she's still in the same apartment, and she's over here or whatever. But he's down the hall and in this room, and maybe you just see his arm or something like that. So it's always kind of. And I feel like Invasion of the Body Snatchers is the same way, the late 70s one. You can see in parts of the frame, there's a bad person over there, or there's something happening over here, or whatever, or that, they're giving him a stern look. Roman Castevets, whenever their old, I guess he's their old kind of landlord, comes to visit her. Hutch is his name.
Yeah.
So Hutch comes to visit her. Yeah. Roman Castevets comes to the door, and you could tell he's just chomping at the bit to meet this guy. Yeah. Not for a good reason, but he's just kind of eagerly looking in. All that kind of thing again kind of builds the tension in the movie, and makes you maybe a little bit uneasy about how this is all going to play out. Yeah,
I think that's that shot you talked about was something Kirby talked about, and I do think it's kind of a subconscious thing throughout the whole movie. Yeah, it just kind of you kind of know, like, because it's not showing you everything, and that people are acting a little off, that there's something going on, and I do think that kind of just helps build it a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies, and again, by now we've probably seen this done to death, but you wonder just how big does this conspiracy almost kind of go? Yeah. How many people are involved in this? Is this, she met this person earlier in the movie. Are they in on it? Are they in on it? That kind of thing. And again, it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. Rod Serling was describing the Twilight Zone as, and I'm paraphrasing probably very poorly, but it's basically you're all alone and you have these external forces kind of acting on you. You can't tell anybody else because they don't believe you. So again, Mia Farrow kind of, unfortunately, is put into that position in this film. And I think, as far as the acting goes, Ruth Gordon, who plays Minnie Cassavetes, actually won Best Supporting Actress for playing that role. The only other Oscar nomination it got was for Best Adapted Screenplay, which it didn't win. But I feel like Mia Farrow does a really great job.
Yeah, I do.
Mia Farrow is somebody who I primarily have seen in like Woody Allen movies. I don't know that I've seen a lot of stuff that she's done that's not associated with Woody Allen in some way. But I feel like she does a really great job. And I like John Cassavetes just fine. But honestly, he doesn't do a whole lot in this movie.
Yeah, I think he's kind of, he
pops in and out and he's like, oh, I had this audition, or oh, this happened, or whatever. I'm going to go over the,
He did creep me out during the movie. Like I could definitely feel like there was something off with him. Mm-hmm. So I think he did kind of bring that, because I remember, just feeling like I'm like, I'm for something like inside of me. I'm like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
For some reason. But on the surface, they seem affable and likable. So I'm like, why wouldn't I like this guy? But I just,
Why wouldn't you? So it was 96% fresh.
Yeah. I'm in the minority.
87% audience score, and Roger Ebert and Leonard Maltin both give it 4 stars.
Quattro.
Yeah.
All right.
So now that's spoiler time.
Spoiler time for Rosemary's Babies. All right. In 3, 2, I think Hereditary borrows so much from this movie.
Really?
Yes. Hereditary. Yes. I think Hereditary would not be Hereditary without this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. For some reason, when you said Hereditary, I was thinking Midsommar. Yes, it does. And I was thinking that same thing. Naked old people.
Naked old people. Yeah.
Yes.
Not knowing like how big the conspiracy theory is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The part that I do like in hindsight is that you talked about is that when Mia Farrow goes to Dr. Hill to get help, and she thinks she's going to get help, and then he gets Dr. Saperstein, and they show up, and it's like, man.
And Dr. Saperstein, he's kind of a nice old guy, right? Yeah. But when he finally comes in to get her, he's just like, don't make a scene or I'm going to take you to the mental hospital. I'm going to commit you. Yeah. He basically threatens her. So she meets like the young girl that's staying with him that first has the little round necklace with the tannis
trying
root.
To remember her name.
It's an Italian.
The devil's root.
But then it's crazy to me because the girl commits suicide. Or did she commit suicide?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she killed. I'm pretty sure they killed her.
Right. Yeah, she didn't commit suicide. But and then the Cassavetes are just very apathetic almost. They're like, oh God, I knew she would do that or whatever. They just kind of, and so you know right off the bat that these people are screwed up.
I guess now thinking about it, what if they were trying to get the devil to have sex with her? And he turned her down, and that's why they killed her.
The devil was like, psh,
I mean, do you think that's probably what happened? Right?
She probably was intended to be the first person. Yeah, the
bearer of his child, I guess.
Mom, for the devil's child. But things didn't work out, and so she met the pavement in a hurry.
So the one thing I wish about this movie was I wish we didn't get the ending we got, because I wish it played it more like, is she crazy or is she not crazy? Because, like, you do have, like, so she gets raped in this movie, and
by the devil.
And he's comical looking, I think.
I mean, I don't find it comical because I don't feel like they show much. I mean, they show like arms, they show like scaly.
It looks like he's wearing like an ape costume.
Well, the costume may look kind of poor, then they just show his eyes, basically, like the yellowish eyes.
Because I feel like you have. She has like 2 or 3 dreams where you can't tell if she's dreaming it or not. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of have this sinisterness of the of her neighbors, with her giving her like the drink every day. And like, I like that kind of feeling. And I kind of wish the movie kind of kept it more, is she crazy or is she not kind of crazy? Instead of like the ending, they're kind of like, no, this stuff really happened.
I don't mind the ending. And again, maybe now, I think for its time, it probably was a lot more groundbreaking maybe than it seems now. But I like the ending. As you said, I like all of the Castavets eagerly trying to keep her away from this. Like she gets the book from Hutch. Like Hutch dies, which
they kill Hutch.
They kill Hutch, but he leaves her the book that kind of clues her into who this guy is.
Like the witch book. All of them are witches.
All of them witches.
All of them
witches. Yeah. But Ruth Gordon or Minnie Castavets comes to the door and she like grabs the book and she's all looking at it like, what is this? They're very nosy. They're plying her with these drinks because they want to keep her,
or bringing her food and that's like tainted or has stuff in it to help the demon baby girl, I guess.
The demon baby. And
Adrian, I think the kid's name is
Roman. Yeah, baby Adrian. Roman talks about, I've been all over the world. And so when you first hear him say that, you just think, he's like a traveling salesman or he's something like that. But then you realize later that he's probably all over the world recruiting, for his coven or whatever, or talking to other covens or meeting with other covens. Because at the end, so basically, as you discussed earlier in the episode today, they move the secretary. Is it secretary?
I think they call it a secretary.
Out of the way. There's a closet there, and the reason it was there was to kind of conceal this hidden passage that goes into the next. Because at one point, this was one big apartment that they made into two.
And I wish they utilized that more, because I think So we have Mia Farrow walking through it for the ending, and I think did they use it when she locked him out of the apartment, and that's how they got in? Because we're seeing it from her point of view, and we see him sneak past the door, but I think they're coming in from the front door, not from that area.
Yeah, I think they're... Well, but I don't know. I don't know if that's ever really made clear.
I felt like it was Chekhov's sneaky closet.
But they do use it.
But I wish they would have used it more, utilized it more.
If they didn't use it at all, then it would be like, hey, what a gem.
Or if the Cassavets show up unexpectedly and she's all like, I guess I left my front door unlocked, when really they just use that to kind of come in.
Yeah.
I think that would have been, I don't know, more interesting. But maybe when they drugged her, they moved her out through that for for the devil.
Yeah. Oh, well, I like all those dream sequences. I feel like those are well done, even if you don't necessarily like, how the devil looks and the brief kind of glimpses that you get of him. I feel like they tried to keep that to a minimum because they didn't want to have this guy in red with horns and cloven hooves or whatever. So they do. You see arms and eyes pretty much. But you're fully aware of what is happening to her. Basically he's having sex with Mia Farrow while she's drugged, but she's kind of in and out, and she's like, this isn't a dream. This is really happening. But yeah, at the end, so they tell her that her baby has died, but they do a very poor job of concealing the baby crying, and he's just in the apartment next door. I don't really like that so much, but
I think that would have been played better if it was like, I'm hearing something crying. Everyone's like, no, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like if it would have been like,
but they don't.
Yeah.
They're like, I think it's that new couple that moved in. They've got a baby, but she hears a baby crying.
They're not great with excuses or thinking on their feet.
Eventually, she goes to investigate, and there is basically this witches' coven. They're all there, and these are people that you've seen before. We, as the audience, have seen them both with their clothes and without their clothes. Some of them, but she goes in. She finally sees her baby for the first time, and it's hideous. I mean, and I like that they don't ever show the baby.
Yeah, they never show.
Yeah. So you just get her reaction, and she's horrified. She says, "What is this? What's happened? What did you do to its eyes? What did you do to its eyes?" And that's when Roman is very sinisterly saying he has his father's eyes. And then they just go full blown hail Satan and everything. And they're all excited or whatever.
This is year one.
But I think the most chilling thing about it, and obviously they have a reach farther than just New York. They've gone all that because there's a guy from Asia in there.
Yeah, who's just taking pictures like for what? Do they have like a newsletter they publish?
I don't know. Yeah, he's gonna go back to wherever and he's gonna be like, hey, look, here's baby Adrian or whatever.
He's not gonna take that to Fox Photo to get it developed.
True. The most chilling thing, though, is the ending, I feel like, because she's horrified, but then she's like, well, it is my baby, and so she just kind of is like rocking it because the old lady's rocking the shit out of it. And she's like, let me do that. I'm his mother after all, even though it is the child of Satan.
Yeah.
I might as well,
Might as well.
chip it. And they were already getting her breast milk and taking it,
Yeah, I like
for
that part where
reasons.
she knew something was up, so she kept on trying to
Right.
taint the breast milk, and Lily's like, no,
don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't do that. Yeah. But no, I feel like this is a really, really effective movie, personally. I like it a lot. A couple of things I didn't know about it. I did not know that Tony Curtis, the actor Tony Curtis, is the guy on the other end of the phone whenever she calls the guy who was struck blind, Donald Baumgart. The guy that she's talking to on the other end of the phone is Tony Curtis. Yes, Tony Curtis from Some Like It Hot. Jamie Lee Curtis's dad, all that stuff. Actually, I mentioned William Castle at the beginning. When she goes to the phone booth and she's kind of talking on the phone, or whatever, the guy, that's William Castle, the guy that produced it. Mia Farrow was only 23 years old whenever she made this movie. She looks very young.
Yeah.
And at the time, she was married to old Blue Eyes himself, Frank Sinatra.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember reading that in the IMDb trivia because, I guess Frank Sinatra gave her an ultimatum of not doing the movie and hanging out with them or being with them.
And he gave her divorce papers while she was making this movie. So,
do you think Guy Woodhouse was always in the coven, or do you think he joined the coven after they moved in?
I feel like he joins the coven after he moves in.
Because he wants to be famous.
Yeah, so the first night that they go over there to have dinner with them, she goes off and is kind of helping Minnie with the dishes, and he's in there talking to Roman, and I feel like Roman's kind of pitching him, hey, we can make you succeed. We can help you succeed. And he's so eager to be an actor, he's like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, sure. I feel like that's kind of his in. But from that point on, he's in on it.
And I think one of the most sinister things is the phone. When Guy he's like, oh, let me get the phone. Or when he wants to, she wants to talk on the phone, and he drags it in there and plugs in the cord and stuff like that. Him controlling that phone, it was that's when I was like, oh, my spidey senses are tingling a little bit.
He ends up throwing away that All of Them Witches book. He's like,
he does.
All right, you got to keep this away from her. So he puts it up on a high shelf and then he just tosses it. It's like, hey, man, that was a keepsake from my old buddy Hutch. But, oh well. John Cassavetes, speaking of, this was the year 1968, same year was when he came out with his breakthrough film Faces. So we talked about John Cassavetes a little bit.
Was that the improv movie? Was it
improv movie? I mean, all of his movies are semi-improv, kind of, but also pretty well rehearsed from what I understand. I only watched the very first film that he's done, which was Shadows. I haven't seen Faces yet, but now I kind of want to watch it because I think it came out just a few months after Rosemary's Baby. So when I was a kid, I remember my mom asked me one time, have you seen Rosemary's Baby? And for some reason, I always thought the title of this movie as a kid was Have You Seen Rosemary's Baby? I thought that was the full title. But there is a movie, a made-for-TV sequel to this movie called Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby, which came out in 1976, same year as Who Can Kill a Child, and same year as another movie we're going to talk about. And then it was remade in 2014 as a TV miniseries with Zoe Saldana playing the Rosemary character.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I watched it, and nope. It doesn't hold a candle to. I mean, but I guess I didn't really expect it to. But it wasn't very good. I have not seen the Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby because I don't think it's on DVD or anything. So maybe it's on YouTube. I don't know. And the only person that appears in that movie that was in this movie is Ruth Gordon.
Gotcha. Comes
back as Minnie Castavets.
All right. So that was Rosemary's Baby. Maybe you feel differently than I do. I have a feeling with that audience score and everything, I'm definitely in the minority. But hopefully, if you got in this far in, you've already seen it and you're yelling at the screen at one or both of us while we're doing it. So that was Rosemary's Baby. Shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave comments, all that kind of stuff. That stuff really does help. Follow us on social media @realshame, and stay tuned next time as we do another horror movie for this Halloween season. And we'll see you next time, guys.